Most people spend their lives asking one question: what will my future look like? But the more important question is rarely asked: who am I becoming right now? Because the future is not something you accidentally arrive at one day. It is something you are quietly constructing every single moment, not with grand events, not with dramatic breakthroughs, but with thoughts, decisions, discipline, relationships, and responsibility. If you truly want to understand where your life is heading, you don't need a prediction, you need clarity. Today, we are not talking about motivation. We are talking about the laws that govern destiny, the unseen forces that shape outcomes, and the choices that silently decide whether your future expands or collapses. Most people believe their future is controlled by circumstances, where they were born, what they were given, who supported them, or who failed them. But circumstances are only surroundings. They are not authorities. They are environments, not decision makers. The world around you may influence your exposure, but it never determines your destination unless you surrender your internal power. History repeatedly proves that people rise above poverty, oppression, limitation, and lack not because their circumstances changed first, but because their thinking changed first. The greatest prison is not made of concrete or steel. It is constructed in the mind. When a person's thinking is restricted, their future becomes restricted, regardless of opportunity. Your thoughts are the architects of your tomorrow. Every action you take is first rehearsed in your mind. Before a future becomes visible, it is first conceived internally. What you consistently think about eventually becomes what you consistently move toward. Thoughts shape perception. Perception shapes interpretation. And interpretation shapes response. You don't respond to life as it is. You respond to life as you see it. Two people can face the same challenge and produce completely different outcomes because they process the situation through different belief systems. One sees impossibility, the other sees opportunity. One sees an ending, the other sees a beginning. When thinking is undeveloped, people live reactively. They wait for change instead of creating it. They adjust to limitations instead of challenging them. But when thinking is intentional, disciplined, and elevated, life begins to respond differently. Your future expands only as far as your mind allows it. You cannot outgrow the boundaries of your thinking. That is why information alone is not enough. Transformation requires a renewed perspective. The future belongs to those who learn how to think, not just what to think. Decisions are the bridge between thought and destiny. Life is not shaped by what happens occasionally, but by what is chosen consistently. Every decision, no matter how small it appears, casts a vote for the direction your life is moving. You may not feel the impact immediately, but momentum is always being formed. Destiny is not a dramatic moment. It is the accumulated effect of daily choices. What you tolerate, what you pursue, what you avoid, and what you commit to quietly define your future. Conditions may create pressure, but they do not possess power. Power lies in choice. Even the refusal to choose is a decision with consequences. Many people wait for perfect conditions before acting, not realizing that conditions rarely improve before decisions are made. Progress follows decision, not the other way around. Once a decision is clear, resources appear, pathways open, and confidence grows. Indecision keeps people trapped in cycles they complain about but secretly maintain through inaction. Every major shift in life begins with a decision that interrupts the familiar. Comfort is often the enemy of destiny because it requires no decision, no risk, and no growth. But the future responds to courage, not convenience. When you decide to think differently, act differently, and demand more from yourself, your direction changes even if your environment remains the same. Over time, the environment is forced to adjust to the person you have decided to become. Your destiny is not chasing you. It is waiting for alignment. Alignment begins with thinking that is intentional and decisions that are deliberate. The moment you take responsibility for your choices, you reclaim authority over your future. No force outside of you can override the power of a mind that is clear and a will that is decisive. And when thought and decision work together consistently, they create a momentum that no circumstance can stop, a momentum that keeps moving forward even when conditions resist, even when progress feels slow, even when results are not yet visible. because the future is already being shaped in the unseen, in the choices made daily, in the mindset that refuses to surrender, in the quiet commitment to move forward regardless of pressure, regardless of history, regardless of delay, because destiny responds to alignment long before it reveals itself in reality. Purpose is the original intent behind existence. Nothing can be understood, fulfilled, or sustained without knowing why it exists. When purpose is absent, activity becomes busy but unproductive. Movement becomes exhausting and progress becomes accidental. Many people spend their lives chasing opportunities, titles, recognition, and wealth, yet still feel empty because success without purpose produces frustration rather than fulfillment. When you do not know why you exist, you accept distractions as assignments and confuse motion with meaning. Purpose is not something you invent, it is something you uncover. It is revealed through design, inclination, and burden. What you were created to do is often connected to what you cannot ignore, what consistently draws your attention, and what problems stir your spirit. Purpose clarifies direction. It eliminates confusion and reduces wasted energy. When purpose is clear, decisions become easier, priorities become sharper, and discipline becomes natural. A person operating in purpose does not need constant motivation because purpose itself becomes fuel. Potential is activated by purpose, but it is directed by discipline. Without discipline, purpose remains an idea rather than an outcome. Many people possess great vision but lack the structure to sustain it. Discipline is the ability to submit your present behavior to a future reward. It is choosing consistency over convenience and commitment over comfort. Discipline is not restriction, it is self-leadership. It is the daily alignment of actions with intention, regardless of emotion. Purpose without discipline creates frustration. Discipline without purpose creates exhaustion. But when purpose and discipline work together, momentum is inevitable. Discipline transforms desire into results. It turns inspiration into structure and vision into systems. The future does not reward intention, it rewards execution. Every meaningful outcome in life is preceded by a pattern of disciplined behavior that most people never see. Discipline governs time, energy, focus, and habits. What you do repeatedly becomes who you are eventually. A person may have extraordinary potential, but if their habits are disorganized, their future will be unstable. Discipline brings order to chaos. It establishes rhythms that support growth. The greatest breakthroughs are rarely the result of dramatic moments. They are the outcome of small, disciplined actions repeated over time. Purpose tells you where to go. Discipline determines whether you arrive. Many people know what they should do but lack the strength to do it consistently. Discipline is built by practice, not by feeling. Feelings are unreliable, they change daily. Discipline remains when motivation fades. It is developed in private, long before results are seen publicly. The future belongs to those who can remain consistent when applause is absent. Purpose also protects you. It filters opportunities and prevents unnecessary detours. Not every opportunity is a divine assignment. Without purpose, you say yes to everything and progress in nothing. Purpose teaches you when to say no, even to good things, so you can say yes to the right things. Discipline enforces those boundaries. It guards your focus and preserves your strength. When purpose and discipline align, life becomes intentional rather than accidental. You stop reacting to pressure and start responding to direction. You no longer measure success by speed, but by alignment. Even slow progress becomes meaningful when it moves you toward purpose. Discipline allows you to stay the course when results are delayed and effort feels unnoticed. A life of purpose is not without resistance. In fact, resistance often confirms alignment. Discipline gives you the capacity to endure opposition without abandoning direction. The future is not shaped by what you want. It is shaped by what you consistently practice. Purpose reveals the destination. Discipline builds the road. And every step taken in alignment strengthens clarity, builds confidence, and produces a future that reflects intention rather than chance. A future that emerges not from pressure, but from preparation. Not from talent alone, but from disciplined obedience to purpose, lived out daily through choices that seem small, but carry the weight of destiny. No one travels into the future alone. Every life is shaped, strengthened, or strained by the people allowed closest to it. Relationships are powerful because humans are influence-driven beings. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you begin to think like the people you listen to, value what they value, and normalize what they tolerate. This is why relationships are never neutral. Every connection is either pushing you forward or pulling you backward, either sharpening your vision or dulling it. The future you step into will reflect the voices you allowed to speak into your life. People influence your standards before they influence your actions. If you surround yourself with individuals who are comfortable with mediocrity, excuses will begin to feel reasonable. If you surround yourself with people who think intentionally, live with discipline, and pursue growth, excellence will start to feel normal. Your environment may be physical, but your circle is psychological. Long before behavior changes, mindset shifts through association. Not everyone is meant to walk with you in every season. Some relationships are seasonal, not permanent. Holding on to people beyond their assignment can delay progress and create unnecessary conflict. Loyalty without discernment becomes a liability. Growth often requires separation, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. When vision changes, relationships must be evaluated. The future demands space, and sometimes that space is created by releasing what no longer fits the direction you are going. The wrong relationships drain energy, distort priorities, and weaken resolve. They create internal conflict by pulling you in directions that contradict your purpose. The right relationships reinforce identity, challenge complacency, and expand perspective. They do not compete with your growth, they contribute to it. The future responds to alignment, and alignment includes the people you allow access to your thoughts, time, and emotions. Equally powerful in shaping the future is responsibility. Responsibility is the moment a person stops blaming and starts building. As long as fault is assigned elsewhere, power remains elsewhere. Blame feels relieving in the moment, but it robs the future of momentum. Responsibility is not about guilt, it is about authority. When you take responsibility for your life, you regain control over its direction. The quality of your future is directly connected to the level of responsibility you are willing to accept. Those who avoid responsibility live reactively, always responding to circumstances, always waiting for change. Those who embrace responsibility live intentionally, making adjustments instead of excuses. Responsibility shifts focus from what others did to what you can do next. That shift alone changes trajectory. Maturity is measured by ownership. The moment you say, "This is my life and I am accountable for where it goes," growth accelerates. Responsibility empowers decision-making. It strengthens discipline and sharpens awareness. It transforms setbacks into lessons rather than limitations. Without responsibility, even opportunities become wasted because no one takes ownership of the outcome. Responsibility also changes how you view adversity. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you begin to ask, "What does this require from me?" That question produces growth. It turns pressure into preparation and failure into feedback. A responsible person does not deny hardship, but refuses to be defined by it. When responsibility and relationships are aligned, the future becomes intentional rather than accidental. You choose people who sharpen your thinking, and you choose ownership over excuses. You stop waiting for permission to change and start initiating progress. The future does not reward intention without action, and action without responsibility lacks direction. Those who shape the future understand that influence must be managed and ownership must be embraced. They are careful with access and deliberate with accountability. They know that destiny is not discovered by chance, but constructed through daily decisions, relational alignment, and personal responsibility. Exercised consistently, reinforced intentionally, and protected diligently, because the future responds to those who take ownership of their lives and guard the influences that shape their thinking, knowing that what they allow around them and what they take responsibility for within them will ultimately determine where they arrive and who they become along the way. Your future is not controlled by circumstances, background, or external conditions. Those are influences, not authorities. The true determinants of your future operate internally before they ever appear externally. Everything begins with thinking. The quality of your thoughts shapes your perception, your beliefs, and ultimately your actions. A limited mind will always produce a limited future, regardless of opportunity. When thinking changes, direction changes. But thinking alone is not enough. Decisions translate thought into motion. Life moves in the direction of the choices you repeatedly make, not the intentions you occasionally have. Destiny is formed in daily decisions that seem small, but accumulate power over time. Waiting for perfect conditions delays progress, because progress follows decision, not comfort. Purpose gives meaning to movement. Without purpose, effort becomes exhausting and success becomes empty. Purpose clarifies why you exist and brings alignment to your energy, time, and focus. It transforms potential into assignment. When purpose is clear, discipline becomes necessary, not optional. Discipline is what turns vision into structure and consistency into results. It is the ability to stay aligned when motivation fades and results are delayed. No future is built in isolation. Relationships shape thinking, reinforce habits, and influence standards. The voices you allow access to your life will either expand your vision or shrink it. Alignment sometimes requires separation, not out of pride, but out of growth. Destiny demands discernment. And finally, responsibility seals everything. The moment you accept ownership of your life, you regain authority over it. Blame transfers power away. Responsibility brings it back. Growth accelerates when excuses end. The future responds to those who take control of their thinking, choices, discipline, relationships, and personal accountability. These elements work together, not independently, shaping a future that is intentional rather than accidental, designed rather than discovered,